Hi, everybody. Welcome back to that Eurovision site. Now, I know this is a bit of a weird one because usually we've done all our discussions of the national finals, of the internal selections, hopefully by the time we've recorded this. But we got a bit of a weird one because today's the March 31st, and at exactly 4:30 UK time, we got some news. And after countless attempts Eurovision Asia is finally happening. And for today's videos, if you already have been spoiled by the title, we're gonna go talk about it. And I am joined by lovely Laura from Aussie Vision, and we are gonna talk about it. So let's get on with the video. Okay then, so if you haven't had the chance to read about what the hell just happened today, basically this morning the EBU have finally announced with Vox Ovation and S20 Productions that it is finally happening. Eurovision Asia, we are finally getting it. And today they have announced that there are already 10 countries that have, officially confirmed. And they are Bangladesh with the broadcaster NTV, Bhutan with BBS, Bhutan Broadcasting Service, Cambodia with TV5, Laos with VTE9, Malaysia with TV3, Nepal with Himalaya TV, however you want to pronounce that, Philippines with my beloved ABS-CBN, South Korea with ENA, Thailand with Channel 3, which, is hosting this year's competition in Bangkok. And Vietnam with VTV3. This year's competition will be held on the 14th of November in Bangkok. But before we dig deep into that, I'm gonna go um, ask our guest Laura. What do you think of the news? Because obviously, I mean, okay, look, I'm gonna say this. I did have a bit of a warning, but officially it was out today. So what was your thought on that? Because I know we've been saying on this for like, I mean, we had a bit of a heads up, so just try to keep like that excitement. But what was going through your head when, when it was finally official?
Look, it's been happening. There's been sniffs of it and whispers of it for years and years now. I know SBS have been, well, they had in the past been involved with it in 2016, and from then onward, they were trying to get it off the ground. And then in 2021, they later released a statement saying that actually they couldn't make it work for whatever reason. So we're being like, oh, it's happening. Oh, it might not be happening. And then last year, randomly, Bhutan decided to have a national final. I was just like, okay, that's a bit random. I mean, we'd only discovered it like perhaps a little bit into the actual televised national final
Yeah,
itself. Someone
apparently
was
it was
just like,
airing for like a few episodes, and then
yeah,
someone randomly put it on Twitter, and it was just like, what?
I know. I was just like, Bhutan? Okay. Eurovision Asia. Wait, what? Is it happening? Is it not happening? Like, can we
Mhm.
get some clarification on this? And then I do believe Martin Green put out a statement saying that it was not happening. And then the Bhutanese broadcaster took down all the videos from their website, but now they're back up again.
Yeah. I mean, for me, okay, look, a little backstory here before the 31st of March. Sunday, the 29th, everyone had a bit of a, hmm, okay. What on earth is going on here? Because the website popped up and then
Yeah.
it was up for like what, maybe 8 hours, and then it was taken offline again. So it's kind of like a Rotterdam thing that happened in 2019, but when before we found out where there was a Rotterdam page. So everyone has been commenting, okay, only EB who can like, can spoil it because it was just like, what on earth has happened here? But you know what? Honestly, when I saw that press release, I was just like elated. I think I'm still coming off the high that JJ won in Austria. And the fact that I was like, okay, are we gonna have Filipino representation in some sort of universe somewhere? Because obviously there were three people that could have gone, but obviously they all failed. I mean, I'm still heartbroken, but it is what it is. But now that, Eurovision Asia is off the ground, we have Philippines as one of the countries. I'm very, very ecstatic. Let's dig deep a bit deeper because obviously this is happening in November 14, as I mentioned. And Thailand is the host country and it will be held in Bangkok. What do you think of the choice of having Thailand as like the, you know, inaugural host country for such a big event like this?
I think it's a huge deal, and obviously the Thai broadcaster, if they're prepared to um, host this event, that's really amazing. And I mean, I know we've had a couple of like close calls, and it's just like, okay, some of us are like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it on the 14th of November. I'll believe it when I see it on the TV in front of my eyeballs. But the fact that the EBU is behind it, the fact that there's all these different partners and corporate sponsors that are going to be behind it as well, it does
Mhm.
make it seem more
Mhm.
like it's going to happen. It does feel a bit more definite than the previous times where it's just like, we're trying to make it work. We're going to have Eurovision Asia. But then eventually they were like, actually, we can't make it work. So yeah, that's really, really exciting that they have that
Mhm.
backing as well. So, and I know people in the Aussie Vision team have been talking and they're just like, oh, should we book a holiday to Thailand in November this year? So it's very, very exciting for everybody on
Mhm.
that part of the world. I am just so, so excited for them.
I think for me, it's more of like, okay, well, I think Thailand is it's already a great leisure destination. So it kind of makes sense that it's going to be in Bangkok, just because I know that Bangkok itself has had like history in hosting big big events anyways. And the one that hits I think the one that's mainly obvious that's stuck in my head is Miss Universe, just because I know that Miss Universe is such a big thing in Asia. So we know that logistics could work. So I'm just curious to see what the execution would be. At the time of recording, um, this is unconfirmed, by the way, by the EBU before I say something about this, but apparently it is being held in Idea Live Arena in Bangkok, which can hold up to 4,000 people. So I'm guessing they're not trying to go overboard the first um on the inaugural edition. So I'm guessing that's something that I'm guessing they're trying to be mindful about because you're rolling out something big. You don't know how it's gonna pan out, but I think what the EBU is underestimating that there'll be a lot of your fans in that side of the in that side of the world anyway. So I mean, including myself, I could potentially be traveling. Look, by the time the visit, I might be, I might not. Maybe check up on me, maybe after Vienna. I don't know, but I am very, very excited about that. Um, Moving on, I do wanted to just say about this because I know that by the sound of the press release, it seems that a lot of them would have national finals to select their
Yeah.
I don't know if this is something that's compulsory. It looks like because I'm looking at it on their website. Literally I know you can't see this, but like I've got the website in front of me. It says across Asia, artists are getting ready to represent their nations. National selections are rolling out across participating territories, each sending their chosen act to the grand final in Bangkok. So I'm guessing we're not gonna have PED. We're not gonna have time to. rest. We're gonna be after Vienna, whatever happens there, we're gonna go look into this and we're gonna think, okay, well, yeah, there is that. And by the time of recording, actually, we do have two countries that have confirmed dates, it seems. I know that I think I read an article somewhere where Nepal will be selecting their entry on the 19th of September. And apparently South Korea is also holding a national final on
That's
the
super exciting.
I know
Yeah.
for the
South Korea have a pretty big music scene as well. They're like one of the
yeah,
heavyweights.
no, here yeah, I was just like I would have thought they would have gone internal, but I'm guessing part of doing this has made it like a prerequisite. You have to select your entry on a selection show.
Look, quite possibly, and I'm sure there are no shortage of K-pop idols and K-pop bands that like
Yeah.
perhaps potentially like ones that are like
Hmm.
perhaps even debuting and perhaps
Yeah.
are newer on the scene, that sort of thing. Perhaps
Hmm.
smaller artists
Yeah.
will take part in the national final, and that will be still be very exciting to see.
Mm. And actually, just to point up on that one as well, because I know that we mentioned that there's the initial 10, but the EBU has mentioned that there are other countries in negotiation. So this might not be the final list. Maybe by the time this video gets published, maybe another country gets added to the list. We won't know, but I'm guessing it's a rolling kind of thing. We'll just find out as days and months go along. But there is
Yeah,
quite the
absolutely.
conundrum I just wanted to ask, and that's why Laura is here actually. I know that Laura mentioned earlier that it was is it Blink TV Productions if I remember correctly that did try where was it?
Yes, it would have been Blink, it would have been Blink TV. I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
believe that partnership has currently
gone. Yeah.
ended.
Yeah, so Blink
Um,
TV was the one that was
but
trying
back in the day,
to,
yes.
put this on. And from what I've heard, and please feel free to correct me. Australia was invited to take part in this, and I believe that they've sent you guys a statement about this.
Yes, absolutely. Would you like me to read the statement that they
Yes,
have
please
sent us?
do.
So they've confirmed that SBS won't be participating in Eurovision Asia this year. Um, so they said SBS has long recognized a strong appetite for Eurovision and its unique ability to connect audiences through music and shared cultural moments. While SBS is not competing in this newly announced Eurovision Asia initiative, we're pleased to see continued interest in celebrating these kinds of connections across the region and will be watching with interest as it develops.
Watching with interest as
Yes.
it develops. As an Aussie, I just have to ask you, are you gutted or were you just like, I'd rather they just focus on Eurovision?
Look, I know we're in a pretty unique position in that we are associate members of the EBU, the European Broadcasting Union. So every year, instead of like being automatically considered as part of the nations that are to be in Eurovision, we do have to get invited by the EBU every year. And so at the minute, we're kind of in the position where it's just like, okay, we're getting invited by the EBU. Um, it would be rude to say no.
Yeah.
So as long as we're accepting this invitation from the EBU,
Hmm.
and as long as they keep inviting us, um, there are these sort of factors that we have to consider. Like, can SBS, of course, also afford to have um, participation in Eurovision and Eurovision Asia? Like, that's two separate contests.
Hmm.
So it is a pretty big deal, and that's including like obviously travel costs, logistical costs, like all the people that go into
Yeah.
staging a
Hmm.
performance of that sort of scale and that sort of caliber.
Hmm.
So I wasn't too gutted, especially now we're currently preparing for Delta Goodrum's Eurovision performance. We're very, very excited.
Hmm.
We think she's going to do really well. Fingers crossed. We have all our fingers and toes crossed, and we're just hoping she absolutely smashes it. So I think it's understandable that at the moment, SBS are probably going to pour their energies into
Hmm.
Delta Goodrum's Eurovision performance at this stage. rather than yeah. Also, there's like the risk of the new format. There's a lot of unknowns. We don't
Hmm.
know quite what it's going to look like, that sort of thing. So that's also something that needs to be taken
Hmm.
into consideration.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that's up in the air at the minute, but at the minute, I
But as a fan, would
understand.
you want them to do it?
Oh, that's really tough.
Because I know
I
that
mean, like
I think
if
people
I
are
if I
people.
had all the money in the world, I would be like, yes, let's enter all the Eurovisions, Eurovision Asia, Eurovision in Europe. Yeah, let's enter all the competitions, but
I mean, to be fair though,
unfortunately, we
what
do have more
they
limitations.
technically did two Eurovisions at a time before. Like they did do Junior on top of Eurovision, but then I know that they changed broadcasters and then just completely stopped. So it it has happened before, but I think it's just because like you said, it is a bit of a look, if Australia was, miraculously like, I don't know, on the coast of Ireland, then maybe that would have worked. But like, what can we do about that?
Well, who knows? Maybe if a country closer to Australia hosts, like potentially, I know they're not yet confirmed for this edition, but like,
Mhm.
say, Indonesia or something, that would be very convenient. Very short flight.
Yeah, very. I was like, I'm looking at it now. It's like, oh, like I've seen like the Filipino Eurovision Euro fans. They're all like, yeah, no, we're gonna go. I think the thing that made them really want to take a chance was when that leak happened a couple of days. I know some people that have already booked flights to go to Bangkok for that week, and I was like, look, if it happens, it happens. If not, it's a holiday. So their risk really paid off, so I'm quite happy about that. The only thing I wanted to ask is because obviously we have the 10, who else would you like to see in the mix?
Ooh, that's a really tough question. I have heard whispers. These are really unconfirmed at this stage. This is 100% speculation at this point. The EBU has not yet confirmed anything, to my knowledge,
Hmm.
at this stage. But I've heard whispers that India wants to take part or they'd
Hmm.
be interested. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, that'd be really cool, actually. Get some Bollywood, that sort of thing. Or I know I'm kind of biased. I would love to see some perhaps bigger countries join in, like your Japans, your
Hmm.
Chinas, that sort of thing. Um, but also, just I'd be happy for like if any broadcaster in the region wants to join, like the more the merrier. And it's a great opportunity
Yeah.
to become familiar with countries you might not have otherwise known much about, or like whose music scenes you
Hmm.
might not have known much about. Like, I don't think I've heard any music from, say, Nepal, but the fact that holding a national final, I'm just like really excited to be
Hmm.
able to watch that and see what their music scene's like.
I think for me it's more of I mean the population of some of these countries are just ridiculous. Like I think if I remember, if my brain serves me right, Philippines is like nearly like a now the Google search is coming up. Apparently over 100 mil, so twice the UK, and I was just like, really? So I'm guessing this is if it all goes the way it is, it could potentially overtake Eurovision on its inaugural. I mean, I don't think it'll happen in the inaugural edition, but it could. But I would say that, looking at this, it could. I would love to see that happen. But in terms of countries, yeah, I do agree with you. It's like, I think you need a big hitter in there in terms of like, I mean, you have South Korea, who is basically have got one of the countries that are like, got really great export of music. I think if you have maybe something bigger like, India, I think will be the best bet for that one, and I really hope they do appear. Looking into the final bits of this discussion, I just wanted to ask, if we were to look before we even decided to do this, Laura was actually messaging me this morning, and I was just like, because look, I kind of made a list of like who will be my wish list. And all that, I was like, I really hope it's ABS CBN that, you know, um takes the helm on this for the Philippines because I know that their work is recognized internationally, and one of those would be, if you're unaware, one of the girl groups that they've produced is actually performing in Coachella in a couple of weeks. So, no, it just goes to show how much of a quality they've really made. But it's quite a few lists for me. But before I mention mine, I know that you've sent me quite a few, like, who would be on your wish lists? It doesn't have to
Ooh,
be, I'm not gonna restrict you to one country, obviously, because I know that
oh, of course.
you have some ideas already.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, I know obviously South Korea has a huge music scene, so
Hmm.
I feel like I'd be pretty happy with whatever they're going to send. They feel like the sort of Sweden, like heavyweight music
Mm.
industry in the Eurovision Asia at the minute. But Philippines, of course, is not to be underestimated. Like, you guys have some vocal powerhouses down there. I know on my wish list, this might be, I'm not sure if it's like a super current pick or more of a nostalgia pick, but Sarah Geronimo, I think, would be fantastic. We know she can sing
Hmm.
really amazingly live. So for the Philippines, I feel like that's my pick. Um, but of course, I was saying to people in the Aussie chat this morning, just like Philippines has big Albania energy. Like they're not to be underestimated. They've got the powerhouse vocals.
Yeah.
I hope that the Philippines can deliver
Mm.
like a fantastic result at the
Yeah.
contest. Because you're taking this super, super seriously by the
Mm.
sounds of things, and I could tell just by how excited you are. I know I'm not as familiar with
No,
like
but
the scene. I was just
no,
like,
but
you're just like, this is such a huge deal. It's probably got the same
yeah.
excitement that I felt when I found out that Delta Goodrem was going to Eurovision. I'm just like, oh my goodness, we're coming for blood. We are not playing. We are coming for that win.
I
But
think,
I have a couple
yeah,
of picks from other
yeah.
countries as well.
I think for me, it's more like when you mentioned that, I was like, okay, well, the broadcaster that they picked, I know that they've had quite a rough few years. They're obviously a commercial broadcaster. They don't have a main franchise, like, their reach was basically shrunk because their main network towers were shut down, so they had to go digital everywhere and kind of just have to like rely on partnerships now and then to get their stuff out. But, you know, despite that, they're still able to do like you know, content that, like, that's being exported everywhere. And with their music as well, I know that they're really upping it in terms of like um just getting their artists out there, because I know that a few of them have been touring. I know that there's a few of them that have like, um doing big concerts in the Philippines in like, 60,000 seater arenas, which is unheard of, but it does happen. But I would say that there's a few on my wish list actually. I think I mentioned it. I want Ben and Ben, but the problem is, from what I've seen, the six-person rule will be applied for Eurovision Asia as well. So that's gonna be an issue because there's more than six of them. So if they do make it work, I would
Yeah.
love for them to have it. Mackie, he's a up and coming. Well, I wouldn't say up and coming. He's basically one of the current artists that are out there. He basically just wrapped up a couple of sold out shows in an arena. And the third one, if you're really being nostalgic and you want to bring vocal powerhouses, that would be like Jury Bait, definitely. Regine Velasquez. She's basically like
Ooh.
an artist that, like, she hasn't got a national award, but it does happen. But for another country, just to be a bit biased because I can have South Korea and Philippines. Sundar Park would be great. But so if you know who she is, then and if you know to anyone, then you know why.
Oh, I'm a big 2NE1 fan, so I'm very
Yeah, yeah, no,
happy with
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
choice.
Yeah, no, Dara had her start in the Philippines and she moved back to South Korea. So, The perfect way would be that. But I would just say before I wrap this up, there is one artist that could do the most funniest thing in the world right now with this news. And I would and
I think I know who it is.
if Alexa.
Hmm.
Alexa can do the most funniest thing right now and represent South Korea and win it. And
That would be so funny. I did also
win.
see a tweet though. I did also see a tweet though that they were just like, let's have the 80s featuring Psy, Gangnam Style Psy
Yeah.
with Psyconic. That would be so funny. But if I want to like have some random picks from
Hmm.
other different countries, I know I sent you Tep Boprek from Cambodia.
Yeah.
She is a diva. She is
Hmm.
fierce. I reckon she would slay at Eurovision Asia. And I think my number one of my whole wish list, the one that I probably want the most,
Hmm.
is an artist called Belle Sisoski from Malaysia. Now, she does a lot of fusion type music. So she fuses EDM with like more
Hmm.
traditional ethnic cultural sounds. And it's a really fascinating mix. You should
Yeah.
definitely go check her stuff out on YouTube. It's fantastic. And I'd love to see her at Eurovision Asia for Malaysia. So those are my picks from
Yeah.
around Asia. And for the ones that I might not be as familiar with, like your Laos, like your Bangladeshis, like your
Hmm.
Nepals, your
Yeah.
Bhutans, I can't wait to see what they have in
Yeah.
store.
No, it's gonna be, I think there's this thing happening. I know that the morale is a bit down for obvious reasons, and I'm not gonna hide that, but I think this kind of sparked a little bit of something in people. It's like, okay, just some respite. I know there are certain people who have opinions on things, but I wanted to succeed, but we'll see how that goes post Vienna. But anyways, that's the end of our discussion. Thank you so much, Laura, for joining me, because I know that we literally planned this last minute. I was like, okay, who wants to talk? Someone wants to talk on my side, but they're currently ill. So you win. Hope you feel better soon because he was supposed to be here. But anyways, thank you, Laura. Really appreciate you. But before I go, where can we follow you guys?
You can follow us at AussieVisionNet on a variety of social media platforms, including X, Instagram. We also have a Facebook page. Just search up Aussie Vision, just YouTube. You name a social media platform, we're probably there. So
And
keep
for
in.
us, we're in all the social medias you can think of at that Eurosite, and also head on over for thateurovisionsite.com for all of the latest news. But before I go, I do have one question for the people who are watching. What do you guys think of what we've talked about Eurovision Asia? Do you agree with some of our opinions? I mean, for the lesser countries, would you recommend other artists that we should listen to that are like the countries we haven't mentioned? Because we have no idea about the music scene on some of those, so we would appreciate your recommendations. But for now, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one where we talk more about it. Have a good
Thank you
one.
so much for having me, Tim. See ya.